This bill does not allow the farming of salmon. That is an iconic Alaskan species of fish, the 5 species of salmon. It also won't allow Atlantic salmon to be grown in Alaska. But here's what it does. It allows mom and pop operations, families, whether you're in a city, you're on the Kenai, Fairbanks, Matsu, or remotely, it allows you to legally be able to grow, for example, trout, rainbow trout, or Dolly Varden, which right now there is no commercial fishery on that. There is no competition in terms of competing with our wild-caught salmon. But it will allow people to grow these fish in livestock tanks in their garage or livestock tanks out back. It does not allow you to be able to grow fish in waters that will touch rivers and mix with other fish. It doesn't even allow fish that can reproduce to be grown. These fish will be treated so that they cannot, it's called triploid, so they cannot reproduce. So they're really just being grown for food. Eventually you get a small business going where you can sell them at farmers markets or you can sell them to local stores. But we're talking about trout. We're talking about grayling. We're not talking about salmon. And so this is an opportunity also to increase our food security as well. And I think having another opportunity for food and another opportunity for small businesses, I think is a great thing for Alaska. Oh boy, that's a great question. Very different. Commercial fishing is you're fishing wild stocks. They spawn in our rivers. We're talking about salmon right now. Now there's other types of commercial fishing, pollock, halibut, etc. But let's talk about salmon for a moment because I think this is the one area where folks are concerned. So when you're talking about commercial fishing and commercial fishing salmon, you're talking about the 5 species of North Pacific salmon. They reproduce in freshwater in Alaska. They go to sea, they grow in sea, and then they are netted at times in sea, and on their way back up the rivers, they're also netted. You're talking about sockeye, which we call red salmon as well, Chinook king salmon, pink salmon, and some call them humpies, coho are silvers, and chum are dog salmons, right? All of us have eaten Alaska salmon. It's the best salmon on the planet. We're not talking about disrupting that. We're not talking about growing those fish. What we're talking about is basically raising trout, whether it's rainbow or dollies, could be grayling, like we raise livestock on land in enclosed containers that never get to waters that will get to waters that access rivers or the ocean that cannot reproduce. And so basically, you'll see in some places, in some people's homes, they'll have little ponds and they'll have a goldfish or koi, larger goldfish. Imagine that they're replaced with trout. Imagine there's a livestock tank out back in which there's trout being grown, where individuals can harvest that trout like they do a chicken or they do a pig or a sheep on their land and eat that trout. We can't really do that now. Imagine a farmer's market where you can purchase honey, you can purchase grains and fruit. You can also purchase fish for home consumption. Imagine being able to go to some of our local stores and there are trout there for sale grown in Alaska. They don't compete with the commercial fisheries that we have here. They don't intersect with the commercial fisheries that we have here. Those fish don't intermingle with wild stocks at all. They cannot reproduce, but they do provide another food source for Alaskans. Our commercial fisheries are in a tough spot for the reasons stated by the chairs in the House. But again, this is a totally different operation. This is not salmon. This is not competing with salmon. This is not going to be touching waters that salmon touch. These fish will not be able to access the ocean. They cannot reproduce. This is another opportunity, though, for Alaskans, really when you think about it, individual Alaskans in their backyard, in small businesses, to be able to grow fish for consumption or small sale scales for Alaskans. Instead of us importing trout, because we don't have a commercial trout fishery in Alaska, instead of us importing trout from another state or importing trout from another country, here in Alaska. Why not have Alaskans grow trout, displace any of those imports that come in from other states or other countries, and it becomes Alaska-grown trout. This is not competing with the salmon industry. This will not compete with the salmon industry. But right now, we are the only state in the country in which the only fish you can grow for consumption in the state of Alaska, there is no fish you can grow for consumption. The only fish you can grow is a goldfish. Yet, we import catfish. We import tilapia. We import other types of fish grown in other places in the world. Why not grow trout here in Alaska for Alaskans' consumption? We'll have a better product. We'll have another small growth industry that does not interfere at all, does not hurt the commercial fisheries for salmon. I agree, we've got work to do on the commercial fisheries for salmon. That's problematic. But this in no way hurts that, damages that, displaces that.